is Tom Fuller. I'm the Executive Director of Alpha Phi Alpha Homes. This is our home here seated in the Alpha Center. And this is the Founders Hall. I want to welcome you to this town hall meeting sponsored by Representative Sykes and the Ohio Consumers for Health Coverage. Alpha Phi Alpha Homes is the housing subsidiary of the Edatah Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And this is a national, international organization, and there are, I noticed, several members of Alpha Phi Alpha in the audience here, including Dr. Sykes, Charles Walker. But we appreciate you coming in tonight and allowing us to be your host for the evening. I was not going to talk too much about affordable health care, but Dr. Sykes encouraged me to talk about our personal situation that we're going through that has a great impact on my family and how the Affordable Health Care Act has affected us, and particularly in relation to our daughter, who is 24 and had coverage until she was 22, until this act was put into effect, and the coverage extended to age 26. This year, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent double mastectomy in July. And she's currently being treated, and additional surgeries and treatments are planned. But without that extended coverage, the cost of providing that kind of health care would have been astronomical and out of our range. It also affects her in terms of pre-existing condition and being able to get coverage in the future. So I appreciate you coming in tonight and talking about this important subject. It's important to all of us, and particularly my family, because we're in the midst of dealing with this tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and have this place to have our town hall meetings. Alpha Phi Alpha has been in the community for over 30 years and providing housing, but this is another way it provides assistance and offers assistance to the residents of our community. So we want to thank Alpha Phi Alpha. We also want to thank the other contributors to this forum. We periodically, 3-4 times a year, have town hall meetings to deal with pressing issues related to public service here in our state, in this district, in this community. And we're really at a crossroads, a severe crossroads dealing with minimal health care coverage here in the country, not just in the state of Ohio. And the Affordable Care Act is one attempt to try to address some of the pressing issues that we have. Now, there's a lot of misinformation and misgivings and confusion, really, about the effects and benefits. And so we have some experts here today to help clear up some of the information and provide some information to us. But more importantly, you're here. And your role is to help us understand what issues we need to be concerned about. What are your concerns and how we might be able to address it. So it's a twofold. We have some information to share, but we also want to get information from you. We're also at a crossroads. Ohio is in the middle of the storm, the eye of the storm. There's a lot of issues going around. And I'm at a crossroads here for me personally, too, because my wife and I, Barbara, we've conducted ourselves in public service. We've tried to raise our children, and now I have an opportunity to have one of my children, my daughter, join me in public service. And I'm glad that she's able to join me and to moderate this forum today. I'd like to introduce you to my daughter, attorney Amelia Sykes. Amelia is a graduate of Firestone High School. She graduated from Kent State with honors and went on to University of Florida, where she has both a law degree as well as a master's in public health. So she has some insights. She's going to be attending a conference, public health conference, a national conference in San Francisco later this weekend. And so she's going to help us conduct this forum. So I'd like to introduce again my daughter, attorney Amelia Sykes.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you all for coming. Before we get started, I want to first introduce our panelists. I'm going to start with Gene Nixon. He's a commissioner of the Summit County Public Health. Wait, Mr. Nixon. Thank you. Angela Dawson, the executive director of the Ohio Commission on Minority Health. Thank you for being here. Yvonne Oliver, Northeast Ohio Advocacy Coordinator of the Ohio Consumers for Health Coverage. And that is all. The Patient Protection Affordable Care Act was signed into law by President Barack Obama on March 23, 2010. The act represents the most significant overhaul of the American health system since the introduction of Medicare and Medicaid. The act is divided into 9 titles, which places an emphasis on preventative care and preventative health measures, strong consumer protections, and providing new coverage options for people who don't already have them. Americans have benefited from the passage of the Act since its inception, and they will continue to benefit from certain provisions that will be implemented through 2020. Despite its trailblazing effects, the Act has been attacked by multiple opponents. As I'm sure you all are aware, many states, including Ohio, sued the government, stating that the Act was unconstitutional. However, just this summer, the Supreme Court of the United States held that the Act was constitutional, including the perhaps most controversial aspect, the individual mandate. Today I have the honor of listening and moderating this town hall meeting of individuals who will help explain how the Act will benefit you in your everyday lives and hopefully help dispel some of the myths that have been surrounding the Act. So without any further ado, we're going to